Thank you, TEDxSISTec. Thank you, Manish. Thank you, everyone, to be here. And I'm really excited about, spending the next few minutes talking about ideas here. So let us immediately get started. The theme that we are trying to focus on today is ideas to impact. Adding to that, echoes of the future. So somewhere we have to start imagining here, every single mind in this room, we have to imagine the future and then try and bring that future back to reality. And I just want to share how I imagined the future and how I continue to imagine the future and bring that to reality and try and work on it. Ideas today will lead to the impact tomorrow. And nothing better than TEDx to tell us the power of sharing ideas across the world. I mentioned that, when COVID hit and there was lockdown, I binged on TED like anything. And so it gives me goosebumps to be on this platform today. But we have to understand that these impacts, while it's desirable that they happen tomorrow, sometimes takes hours, days, weeks, months, years, sometimes lifetimes too. And so the question we have to ask is, since we are all interested about winning the future, what will win the future? Who will win the future? What's the future all about? For me, as I built my thesis in my journey, it was all around how can we focus on innovation-led entrepreneurship. And I'll come to why I thought that way, because that came through some of my life experiences. So my talk is going to focus on that aspect. But before we even get into that, when I started working on this thesis, the question that was quite often asked to me is that, are you imagining an R&D oriented enterprise in Bhopal? I'm talking about 97, 98. And so the buzzwords of trying to do something around innovation, if you are in India, would be head to a place like Bangalore or the big cities. Why Bhopal? How are you going to get talent? How are you going to get resources? How are you going to do projects? Okay, so this was a big question that we kind of took on heads on, and my journey is about sharing what we have been able to do so far and some of the twists and turns that come along the way. So here's how it started. These are my parents, Atal Raje and Chaya Raje. 1982, you see our first share certificate of AARTech Solonics Private Limited being signed by my parents, 1 share each. That's me in the red t-shirt. As a young, family trying to get a business together, every visitor who comes, chalo factory dikha de. And I have been to Mandideep countless times, most of the times on a scooter. And these were the days when we had to park on Hoshangabad Road and then make a trek inside because there were no roads at that time. It's all very rocky and so on. So the other person that you see, my younger sister, she's our CEO now. Generational changes happen when young talents are exposed to real world conditions. And so I'm just fast forwarding here because I studied here in school at Campion till 1991. I got selected at IIT Bombay, did my electrical engineer there, 91 through 95, went to the US for my master's, did my master's in power systems and power electronics, saved up some money, did a year of internship. And that was the time when I was first made aware of the fact that our company back home is in deep red. There are lots and lots of challenges. First generation entrepreneurship is a very wicked journey. And so the question that popped in my mind was, can I work alongside my parents to see their vision come true? And with that, in 98, I came back and started working alongside them. We imagined a product for the Indian power sector at that time, which was absolutely new. There were a handful of companies, mostly overseas, that were working in that area. And we started building on that. And what you see over there is one of our first panels for a bus transfer system that went into a power plant. And today, as we speak, we are a market leader in India and we export overseas the same technologies, something that was built around at that time. And what's more interesting for me was that the people who you see in this photograph, this is dated somewhere around 99, 2000 or so, are very much all with us. So we kind of built along a family. It was not just product, not just market. It's like, how do you build a community? And there came a time for almost 10 years, I was a lab rat. Absolutely, just focusing in a lab on building a product. Early morning, I used to turn on Vivid Bharati. From the morning session till the late night session, I used to just focus on getting my act together. But then there was a need to step back and take up management responsibilities, imagine the future. And I was no MBA. And there was a lot of self-doubt at that time. Am I equipped to be able to run an enterprise? And that point asked me to dig into, build a thesis for myself. And the thesis that I imagined was around energy. This is a very interesting image that I always like to refer to. It's called the light map of the world. This is how the world looks at night from a satellite. No boundaries whatsoever, but you can almost make out national boundaries just for looking at the light. And you can see India is doing pretty good in terms of uniformity, but you can see the level of disparity also coming up. So what was the thesis? World needs energy. Energy usage has challenges, and the challenges demand solutions. So if we work with innovation-led entrepreneurship, we continue focusing on solving those problems, we'll never go out of business. And that sounds to me like a very strong, robust foundation on which we can build an enterprise. We persevered along the way. One of the things that, how do you build innovation-driven entrepreneurship? How do we encourage young talent? How do you get techno-entrepreneurs motivated? So we also got into startup incubation. AIC-Aartech got set up. SISTec was one of the founding partners for getting this initiative together. And when we say Aartech Solonics, the solo part stands for this tagline, dare to go solo. The first step is rarely something that a bunch of people will say yes to. Everyone expects the other guy to take the first step. So one has to build the confidence to dare to go solo. Doesn't mean you do things alone. It means you have to take your first step and go to the next level. This wall painting incidentally was made by this young girl who came to me, and she said, I'm an engineer, but I love exploring art and I want to do a large wall painting. And I said, here's a large wall, why don't you paint it? And this becomes the standing reference for our company to take any photo shoot. That's how you kind of encourage the first baby steps of anybody. Look at what they want to do and see how might we enable it. Fast forward, we got ourselves listed on the Bombay Stock Exchange in 2019, on the small and medium exchange. These are where my own parents and other family members ringing the gong, the famous BSE gong in 2019. Following that, we even got ourselves listed on the BSE and NSE in 2023. And so we have been growing as a team. I'm quite sure there are some, SISTec alumni in this group photograph, because we have a lot of talents coming in from your institute as well. And we have built a team. Our philosophy of building a team is build a team so strong that no one can even figure out who the leader is. Everyone needs to be stepping up to their A-level game and delivering all the time. That's a must. That's a must-have. And so we have been spreading ourselves across the world into different geographies. We have established our business presence now in the UK and in the US. And these are early days. When you kind of participate in an organization, you have to work through lifetimes. But this TED talk is not about talking about my company. That's not the objective. We have to focus on the idea. The idea I want to focus on is, remember I mentioned innovation-led entrepreneurship. Where does innovation happen? How do you take the risks towards innovation, and what are the qualities that you need to be able to bring innovation into the mainstream? So this is what we perceived. We perceived an industrial research, design and development lab. We called it the IRDD lab. We also perceived this coming under the banner of what we call an AR Center for Technopreneurship. Get techno entrepreneurs a platform. I was fortunate to get a platform, no matter how challenging, which I could latch on to and then build this journey. And how about creating that platform for others? If there is a technologically inspired person, where do they go? Where can they get their first starts? And this is what we put together, recognized by DSIR. And so one of the first things, as we all know, is you need passion. Without passion, it's difficult to really get all your energy into doing what you want to do. So this is a must-have, right? And this is an example of how we built our labs. Step by step, 2012, we inaugurated this lab. There's my daughter, now she's in 10th grade. We started building on our team, got more and more enthusiastic people together, and lots of talents from our hometown who are striving or aspiring to get a chance to do something in their hometown. And it's very, with a tinge of regret, they don't find those opportunities and they head out. So if you are able to engage those people and give them a chance, wonders can happen, and that's what we have been up to. This is the version of the lab that we had right now. And this tagline in yellow is something that we truly believe in. That in this lab, mistakes are expected, they are respected, they are inspected, and then they are corrected. The whole idea is, not to get into that zone where there should be no mistakes. If you don't make mistakes, you don't create room for making mistakes, how are you going to innovate? And so the next thing, of course, it's great to be passionate, but it's a necessary, it's not a sufficient condition. You have to persevere. You have to persevere like hell. And so what I'm going to show you is a day in the life of, this is a day in the life. You see a bunch of interns, bunch of engineers, they're working. A lot of young talents trying to hustle their way into their everyday life. And then comes serendipity. Serendipity is this very interesting experience that we get almost on a daily basis as an entrepreneur. Just this morning I was here and I spoke to Janakji and I said, it's been 7 years since I have been asked to come and meet you. But then that happened today. But then what happens with serendipity is things happen in a manner that really don't work out the way you want. And so things happen that need you to have a lot of courage. And on 16th of October, just less than a month ago, what happened to us was this. A small fire in our lab created this big situation that took us 40 minutes for me to arrive. And by that time, our R&D lab was in flames, engulfed in flames completely. And that's where you need teamwork. On one call, all our team members came up. They started working on how do you contain the damage. I was shouting to try and make sure that none of our team members risk their lives into securing any of the systems, any of our workstations, any of our prototypes that we have worked so laboriously. But this was the situation all around us. And it took us 4 hours and 9 fire tenders to ultimately get the fire back. And so you need focus. You see, what I'm trying to tell you is that entrepreneurship as a journey is full of ups and downs. You have to enjoy the joyride. ऊपर जाने के मजे लो, नीचे आने के और भी मजे लो. सीखना वहां पे. You build muscle when you are dealing with strong problems. You go to a gym, you deal with resistance, right? So this is how our lab was the very next day, all broken. Our insurance guys were coming and questioning us. You can see the look in his eyes. Did you actually, do something about burning your own facility just trying to claim some insurance money? That's how the world looks at you. And you have to respond. You have to endure. The very same team of engineers that you saw working on their workstations wore the hard hat and got into the field and started clearing the mess. We have to be resilient. We have to focus on getting things done and bouncing back. So we set ourselves a target. Every week we have to meet milestones. Okay, from 16th of October through the Diwali vacations till today, 10th of November, we are already 90% up. Clearing through mess, getting our hands dirty. And I know a bunch of students from this institute who are interning with us, and you can hear from them directly. What a once a lifetime experience they would have got of being participating with a team at getting a situation like this together. So I want to just end by saying that if we want to win the future, we all need to build this quality of grit. Grit is a combination of all these flavors. It's passion, it's perseverance, it's serendipity, it's courage, it's teamwork, it's focus, it's endurance, it's resilience. These are must-haves. And so grit will win the future. So for all the audience members here, particularly the young students, I want you to go back and reflect on the fact that build your grit. This is something that's buildable. And with that, this was a photo I took just last night. Okay, these are our team members who are slogging themselves to get back to normal. But they are full of enthusiasm, full of spirits, full of energy. And I have no doubt in my mind that we will bounce back. And this time we said, our level was here, we reached here, now we are going to reach here. You know, there's no reason for you to be timid about your dreams, your hopes, and you need to just simply focus and dare to go solo. Thank you so much.